Welcome to the College Football Podcast. I am Michael Newman.
I am Ryan Newman.
And I'm Trey Newman.
All right. SEC teams start conference play here. They start their games in general in a few days. So figured it's time to go on the record with our picks for the Heisman and our official picks for the playoff. So let's start out with the Heisman. The co-favorites right now, Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence, both at plus 275. Followed by Spencer Rattler, plus 700, and Sam Elling at plus 1,000. So before we pick kind of our official winners, Ryan, what's your best? Give us two value bets for the Heisman.
Sure. All right. I'll start us off. Number one here for me, I'm going to take Sam Howell, North Carolina. He's up at plus 3,300. Off to a little bit of a slow start against Syracuse, but fourth quarter, Sam Howell in North Carolina turned it on. So he looked back to himself, and I just think that those big of odds for a team that's going to be a dark horse for that in that ACC race, it's a good value play. I mean, last year as a true freshman, he put up essentially Heisman caliber numbers. If the team was just better around him, he could have been in the conversation. So I think they'll win a few more games this year. He's going to put up great numbers. He could definitely have a case. And my second one, I'm going back. I'm going to Kellen Mond. It's been a long journey. Long journey, Kellen.
Full circle.
Yeah, full circle with him. He's at plus 3,000. Main reason why I'm picking him is just because if A&M does have a good year, it's going to be because Kellen Mond really carries them. I think especially with the wide receiver going out, Osmond, he's going to have to really up his game even more. So, if they win some big games, maybe even compete, maybe get second or maybe in that SEC West, it's going to be because of Kellen Mond. So opportunities for big moments in that conference too.
That would be a John Wolford like rise up in his senior year.
I mean, he had good numbers the last 2 years. Let's not pretend like he's been bad.
I mean, nowhere near Heisman worthy numbers.
Fair enough.
But it's 30-1. So
31. And again, if the team, the SEC West, and maybe a little bit down outside of Bama. So if the team does well, get wins, you can have sometimes not the greatest numbers in the world as long as your team's really good.
Yeah. Sure. All right. I'm going to lead us off with Sam Ellinger, 11-1 for Texas. I just think he's improved each year, freshman, sophomore, junior. Good start to his senior year, 5 touchdowns, 5 different receivers. I just think the Longhorns are going to be better as a team this year. They're going to be right in the hunt with Oklahoma. They might be able to beat Oklahoma in the Big 12. Either way, I just know how productive he is in the air and on the ground. And historically, the Heisman kind of used to be one of those almost career achievement awards. Like, he's been so productive year over year. He's nationally relevant. If Texas is in the hunt at the end of the year, Ellinger will be obviously a big reason why. And then
I like that price.
And then my next one is Mac Jones at 25-1. So I'm getting the Alabama quarterback at 25-1. I know Alabama is going to be in the hunt for the national title. I mean, Tua last year as the quarterback was the favorite going into the year, him and Trevor Lawrence. And now I'm getting 25-1 on this Bama quarterback. Now I know Bryce Young might play as the season progresses, but he's the week 1 starter. It's his to kind of lose throughout the season. Alabama's just littered with talent and weapons around him. We saw what he did at the last couple games of the last year, how productive he was. So, hey, I'm going to take these odds.
Yeah. He's one of my 2 value picks. As you can see here, I got Mac Jones 25-1 as well. I mean, just the supporting cast is so good around him that he's going to put up huge numbers. So there's risks, like you said, with Bryce Young taking over, or maybe even Najee Harris stealing votes. But that's why he's 25-1 and not 10-1. So I'm willing to take those risks. And then my other pick is Spencer Rattler, plus 700, and he's actually plus 1,100 if you have access to FanDuel. So that's a much better price. But
that's pretty good odds for him then.
Yeah, quarterback for OU has finished first, and second the last 3 years in the Heisman. So plus 700, I feel like is pretty good value. He's going to be in the hunt. I mean, game 1, I know it was against Missouri State, but look the part, at least statistically.
He's going to put up huge numbers. There's no doubt.
Exactly. Okay. Let's how about just ignore the odds? We we gave some value picks there, but Ryan,
Sure.
if you're just picking the winner, who do you think's going to win?
I'll go with the blonde guy. I'll take Trevor
Yeah.
Lawrence.
Okay.
Yeah, he's just, there's a lot of great candidates, of course. We haven't mentioned Justin Fields at this point yet. But he was right up there with Trevor Lawrence in the odds. But, yeah, we mentioned Rattler and Mac Jones. I'm comfortable with any of those guys, and I could think they're all going to have huge years. But I just kind of like Trey mentioned earlier, I think Lawrence might get some of those career achievement picks at the end. So if all things are equal between maybe Justin Fields or Spencer Rattler and Trevor Lawrence, well, Trevor Lawrence has done it for 3 years now. So I feel like he would probably get the nod maybe over some of those other guys just because of that.
That's fair. I did think about Justin Fields, but I was like concerned about the 8-game Big Ten season. They might not play 8.
They might only play like
that's
6,
what did it for me. Yeah.
I know that the Heisman committee is going to kind of have to weigh that, but it's just another added element, and who knows if they'll play a full 8 games. So that was kind of what slid me away, and I actually went with Sam Ellinger of Texas.
Oh,
okay. I know it's a little bold, I know, but I just know what I'm going to get from him. I've said this before. Like he's just a production machine. Like, what you're going to get on the ground and air. I'm confident that's going to continue, and I'm confident that Texas is going to be in the picture this year. So if Texas is able to break through and get by Oklahoma, he'll be the reason why, and he might get the nod.
Oh, you're right. That could potentially be a huge Heisman moment for him if he beats Oklahoma in, say, the Big 12 championship, which is very possible. I don't think they're terribly far behind Oklahoma this year. So that makes sense.
They were right there with them last year. As far as in their in-game matchup.
Head-to-head. Yeah. And with Clemson, they're likely to be in a lot of blowouts, so that doesn't help. But I still went with Trevor Lawrence for all the reasons Ryan said. And he's off to a great start too. Doesn't hurt.
He's awesome. He's so fun.
Okay, let's move on to some championship picks. So we're gonna each pick one bet to win a conference championship, and then one bet on a team to win the national championship. So Trey, why don't you give us your picks first?
All right, I'm gonna lead off to win the conference championship. I'm gonna say Notre Dame getting 6-1 to win the ACC. Obviously, this is their first year playing in the ACC, but they've looked really good through the first couple games. I know Clemson is the big bad beast in the ACC, but they get Clemson in South Bend this year, so that's favorable. And even if they don't beat them in South Bend, they'll have played them, and ideally it'd be competitive, and they'll get them again in the ACC championship. Like, I don't think it's that unreasonable that they could beat Clemson at least once and win the conference.
No, that's possible. Clemson has they've had a game every year where they struggle with teams much worse than Notre Dame. So that's not a bad price. What about your national championship?
This one I actually went with Ohio State, and I know they're kind of chalky here at plus 250, but it's kind of for the reason I said earlier. There's only 8 games. Looking at their schedule, they just are head and shoulders right now above most of the Big Ten. They do have to play at Penn State, which won't be easy, but it's early in the season. I think they can easily get by them. And then they have Michigan, at the end of the year. I just think they're on a mission. They got everyone pretty much coming back. They're still waiting on Sean Wade to see if he can officially kind of opt back in. But Justin Fields is motivated. He could have easily just hung it up and just said, you know what, I'm off to the NFL. He's been fighting for this. They were one of the best teams last year. They just barely lost to Clemson in that playoff game.
Incredible.
Yeah.
They were one of the best teams of the decade.
And they're power rated one of the top 2 teams. So that's why I just think that they're favorable this year with the 8-game slate. I like Ohio State.
Okay. For my conference championship pick, I'm going OU at even money, plus 100. I just think I'm not going to pick against them, I guess, until they lose. Lincoln Riley, 3 for 3, winning the Big 12 as head coach. And 2 of the threats to them before the season, Iowa State and Oklahoma State. Of course, they're still going to be good teams, but your power rating of them would probably go down after what they did in their first 2 games, or in their first game, respectively. So, I think if you ask me OU or the field, which is what this question is, I would slightly lean towards OU. And then my national championship bet is Alabama plus 400. I just think that they might be the best team in the country. It's super close between them, Ohio State, and Clemson. And the reason I think that is I think Bama's defense is going to take a big step forward. It wasn't the defense that we are used to last year, but they've got some guys coming back from injury, most notably Dylan Moses on that front seven. They've got a couple true freshmen coming in that are going to be rushing the passer that I really like. So I think Bama's going to have obviously a big year, but big surprise there. And I think they're just kind of head and shoulders above the rest of the teams in the SEC West this year. I think with LSU taking a big step back, Auburn, I'm not sold on Bo Nix. A&M had some key personnel losses sitting out the season. So I think if you play this season 5 times, Bama's going to win the championship at least once. So plus 400.
Yep. That's a good pick. I'm with you there. All right. I'll go with my one bet to win the conference. I'm going to take Texas plus 125 here. It really does after a couple weeks here, I guess, seems like a 2-horse race. In that Big 12 between Texas and OU, they both just whooped up, and everybody else isn't looking all that good in the Big 12. So, and I really do think they are right there neck and neck with OU. Obviously, they've been very competitive on the field, beat them. What was that, a couple years ago that they beat them? So I just think they're right there. I don't see much separation between them. I think this is the best Texas team that Tom Herman has had, and I think maybe this might be the weakest team as far as that Lincoln Riley's had. So I think they're just completely 50-50 in my eyes. So I definitely think with Texas with the better odds than OU, I'll take Texas there.
Okay. Made a good case. How about your national championship?
My national champion, I'm going to take Florida here. Good value. You got 18-1. Georgia is sitting at 12-1 right now to me. So if you think about between those two teams, I think they're neck and neck in that conference right now. I think these teams are super, super close, especially obviously without Jamie Newman being in the fold. So Georgia took a step back a little bit there. So you got QB advantage, at least right now. Kyle Trask, who knows? Maybe Georgia's QB ends up doing really, really well. Maybe Mathis is awesome. Who knows? Or Daniels comes in and surprises everybody. But at this point, I highly doubt it. So I like Florida's odds compared to Georgia. 3rd year for Dan Mullen. He's got a good quarterback. He's obviously going to have a good defense. Pieces are there. 3rd year could be a year where you end up having one of your better teams. So I think he can do it. And remember the LSU game last year? They went to Baton Rouge and they were winning in the 3rd quarter. They were up 28-21, and it was a ball game, dogfight in the 4th quarter. So that was against LSU's one of the best teams ever, and Florida was right there. So yeah, I think it's a good value right there.
Okay. Let's go on the record then now with our official playoff picks. Ignore the odds. Just who you taking to be there at the end of the year.
Okay. I will lead the trio off here. I'm going to start out with my 1 seed Ohio State for the reasons I mentioned earlier. The shortened season. I think they're the clear class of the Big Ten. I'm comfortable that they'll come out of the Big Ten there. Alabama as my number 2 seed. I think this is of any year, like you mentioned, Michael, they seem to kind of have separated themselves in the SEC. It's not maybe as ultra competitive as it historically has been. It's still very good, but I think Alabama is just slightly better there. And then I've got Oklahoma as my 3 seed. I mean, it's Texas and OU, like you guys have mentioned, it's razor thin, but I'm just going to say that Oklahoma, until they get beaten by Texas, I'll keep picking OU to get there. And then finally, my little surprise pick is Notre Dame at the 4 seed. I just think that they have a chance to knock off Clemson when they come to South Bend. And then if they get the confidence there, they could do it in the ACC championship. And even if they don't have to win the game in South Bend, they could just win the ACC title and have a good win over Clemson to do it. So that's my surprise pick. And then I've got Ohio State beating Alabama. I'm just a little more confident that Ohio State will be there in the playoffs. So that's why I took the Buckeyes over Alabama.
All right. Gutsy pick there with Notre Dame, but
yeah,
you didn't go all chalk, so I respect that.
No all ones. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like picking all the ones. Can you I hate it when someone just goes all 1 seeds in the
the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, let's get to my playoff picks here. I got Clemson, Alabama, OU, and Ohio State. I hate myself for this. I mean, I just
logic.
I hear you, Trey. You're picking the upset with Notre Dame over Clemson, but Clemson is the biggest favorite of any team to win their conference. So for me, I just had to put them in. Alabama, I'm just so high on this year. It's, I know it's just, I think the SEC West, they've separated themselves this year with all that LSU has lost. OU, again, I already explained it with my pick of them at plus 100 to win the conference. And then Ohio State, Trey put it well. So I've got Alabama versus Clemson in the national title. I think the Clemson and Ohio State, I definitely thought a lot about. But I think at that point, my question mark for Clemson, which was, I guess, the receiving core, all the receivers they lost, I think those freshmen or those, sophomores will be more seasoned by then. So took them over Ohio State. And then I've got Alabama winning it all. I just think Alabama's defense is going to catch up with Clemson this year. And I think the supporting cast around Mac Jones is significantly better than what Trevor Lawrence has around him. I know Lawrence is a better quarterback, and it might not be Mac Jones by then. It could be Bryce Young. Whoever it is, I have a lot of confidence in.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Did I say Bryce Jones again?
You might.
You mixing Mac Jones. It's going to be Mac Young.
Oh, that's
Bryce
what I'm
Jones.
doing.
Yeah, it's Bryce Jones. Yeah.
It's going to be Bryce Jones. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get to mine here. All right. So, yes, here it is. I got Clemson as my number 1 overall seed. I just think they're too good. I know I like your pick, Trey, of Notre Dame there. It's certainly possible, but I still think Clemson's just too good overall. I got Ohio State, same reasoning. They're far and away the best team in the Big Ten. Just going to walk in there in my eyes. Then in my number 3 seed, I got Florida. I think they're going to surprise some people this year. I think they can knock out Georgia in that East, and then they can take down Alabama in that SEC title game. And then I got Texas as my 4 seed. So I think Texas can beat OU, overcome them, finally kind of punch through here. But in my national championship game, I have Clemson against Florida, and I'm going to take the Gators. Okay, I'm going with a little bit of an underdog pick here. I love doing that. It's kind of my thing. I don't like going chalk. So I think I trust Trask. I trust Dan Mullen. I think they're going to have a huge year. So I'm going with the Gators. All
right, there you go. Ryan and Trey decided to be a little bit gutsy, and I just picked all the 1 seeds. So.
Did you guys have some? I had a lot of trouble with this though, because I was thinking, for instance, like Texas and Oklahoma, they could split. Clemson, Notre Dame could split. Then I was thinking, who's going to be is there going to be a second SEC team? Like, yeah, I had a real hard time with that.
It's a lot of scenarios. Yeah.
If Georgia had Jamie Newman at quarterback, I think I might have tried to sneak both Georgia and Bama into the playoff, but yeah, I ended up going all chalk, as you saw.
Yep, exactly. It's hard to avoid it, but it's fun when you pick an underdog, man.
Very true. Very true. Ryan had Baylor winning the Big 12 last year. Almost happened. It was fun
so
while it lasted, for sure.
Such a heartbreak. Both games. OU, which is such a heartbreak.
I know. Man. All right. Well, thanks for watching this video. Be sure you're subscribed to our channel for college football content all year round. We do 1 episode a week at the very least. We're doing 2 episodes lately. Every once in a while, we'll do a YouTube only episode like we have here. So let us know in the comments also what your best bets are for the Heisman and for the playoff. And we will see you next time. Thanks for watching.
You've been listening to the College Football Bros. If you have any questions for the next podcast, email them to collegefootballbros@gmail.com. To keep up with the brothers on social media, like them on Facebook at College Football Bros, follow them on Instagram at College Football Bros, and for their commentary on Saturdays, follow them on Twitter at CFB Bros. Thanks for listening.